Hey, so what's going on here, YouTube? You see I've got the front end out of the red 4Runner that I had in that last video. What I ended up breaking was the normal, just the dog bone that comes stock in the Yota 2s. Everybody pretty much breaks them. Once again, the baby bearing that they put in these, I think, I had my end points kind of cranked. So it's, 95% my fault, and I was ripping on it pretty hard on 3S. So, yeah, with that being said, I still think that's just half the problem. I think if they had a better bearing, heavier duty bearing in these, and I'm talking about this bearing that goes right here. I think if they had a bigger bearing to hold more of a load, it would help. But I am upgraded to Jim's bearings. That's what I've been upgrading to on all mine. When I go to them, they are a shielded bearing, heavier duty. They're not expensive. You can do the whole truck for like 14 bucks. This is a whole kit. So I've already done it here in the front. And they're more of a waterproof bearing. They're shielded and it'll keep the crud out so they'll last longer. So I've already tore this one apart. I'm going to be taking the rear one out because I run this truck in the water a lot. So we're going to be putting the front back in and taking the rear out and going through it. I just thought I'd do a little video here because I haven't been able to get out on the trails and stuff. Still getting adjusted into the new job. So anyways, I just thought I'd do a little wrench video here for you guys. But that's what broke in that video on this truck. So I'm going to get my hex pins here, my wheel hexes. We're going to get those installed back into the truck. So I did upgrade to XVDs. There's no sense of putting the dog bones back in these guys. I just recommend to anybody to go ahead and do, I'm going to move this around so you can see better. I'd recommend anybody, if you got the Yota 2s, for heaven's sakes, put the XVDs in them. That's just a huge recommendation I can give you. Not that the dog bones are terrible. Some people might say they've never even had trouble with them. I don't know. But, for what the XVDs cost, I would highly recommend that. So, I'm going to take these off the jack stands. I had them there just for display purposes anyways. So, and those are the chubby jack stands from Rc4wd Yota, the 3 tons. Because they're a little more scale. But, let's see here. I did marine grease everything because, like I said, running in the water. If you guys marine grease everything, keep everything sealed up, you're not going to have to worry about a lot of stuff. As long as you maintenance, you can run in the water. A little bit of maintenance goes a long way. If you're going to run hardcore water, I like the brush stuff better. I've had issues with some of my brushless stuff in the water. I've not ran any of the new 2-in-1 stuff because, like I said, brushless stuff's really not that big of a deal to me. Just make sure you keep your stuff all lubed up. I cleaned all my stuff out with WD-40, and Q-tips and all that stuff. I'll be doing the same thing with the rear. So let's pull the truck out here and start getting everything back together and Loctited everything down. So let's see here. She's ready to go back in. Drop my shocks down. Drive shaft. Want to keep your drive shafts phased, and by meaning that, make sure your pins are matching. Let's see here. No, they're not. Play around with that to get it there to where they're matching. I think we're good there. Yeah. So when I take mine apart, what I do is I always put my pins back where they come from. This is the simplest way. Pull your actual leaf spring mount there, leaf spring mount in the front there. You got your servo horn for your steering, and your shocks, and this front end will come out. It's nothing to it. Easiest trucks ever. So we're gonna go ahead and take our lock nuts off our pins here, and mount the back end first. This truck's had mega use on it, so still never broke a I've still never broke a drive shaft, surprisingly, in this truck, because it's got the plastic drive shafts. I've never even had one pop yet. And I'm running weighted brass rings in my wheels, so surprisingly I've not had that issue. Make sure everything's, whoops. Let's grab this one. The leaf springs are getting pretty wore in on this truck. I'm going to put an anti... Okay, not sure what happened to my phone, how much you guys lost here. So anyhow, we're just going through and tightening the... doing the leaves, tightening them down. Where did I lay my... There it is. I'm not sure how much that recorded, but what I was saying was... you need to keep where your leaf springs can move freely, so you don't got to crank these down. These are Loctite. These are lock nuts. So, and like I said, I don't know what this thing missed, but once again, marine grease, if you're running in water and all your gears and your bearings and all that stuff, it's real easy to do. So we just got to put the shocks back on this, make sure it's still recording, because it died out on me, guys. This video might be choppy, I don't know. And so we're going to flip her back over. I mean, you want to make sure everything's working freely. A little bit of play like that right there. I mean, it's leaf springs, as I was saying, 1-to-1 trucks. You know, they have movement in their springs too, guys. I mean, it's not... I see people freak out over a little bit of side-to-side play or play in these. They got to move free. You don't got to shim that stuff. I see guys doing that. And just, I don't know. It just... If you want to, I guess you can, but it don't need to be that tight. So we're going to put our shocks back on here, guys. We need the 2mm now. These are 2.5 down here. And we're going to go ahead and Loctite those in too. Like I said, because I'm pretty rough on this truck. Sees a lot of water. And I usually put it through the shock eyelet. These, man, I don't care for this Permatex Loctite. It's really thin and just oozes out everywhere. So. And we're going to go to this side. This is what we're doing here. Not working in the scale garage because this is a messy bit. So, turn this around. It'll sit a little better like that on the stand. So, I'll be ripping the rear end out of this. I'll be pausing the video and spinning the truck around, taking the rear out. I don't know if I'll be doing the rebuild yet on it, but I ain't going to get time. I got to be to work here in a little bit on this one. Oh, I should have waited before I put that. Oh, well. I usually put it through, then put the Loctite on it, but whatever. But these cheap knockoff CC hands, which I really think they're just CC hands, they're nice because they're threaded. You don't have to have a lock nut on the back side. These are the extended shock hoops. And then the inner fenders that my nephew printed for me. And like I said, I don't care about the rusted stuff on this truck. You know, it's a beat up truck anyways. I do have a new winch coming for it. Because I found that my buddy wouldn't have had to hook to me and even pull me if I'd have had a winch in there. But, yeah. Everything matches up. So we're going to go ahead and pull the rear out. I'm going to go through that and clean marine grease. Clean that stuff up. I'm going to do it down here just because it's easier than to do it up here. So, just to pull your rear end out, you got your... We're going to pull the shocks here. Okay, and I got different spacers than what would be on it from the factory here. And this is what we're going to do. We're just going to thread them back into our rear end where they need to be. Because this truck was missing a bunch of stuff, and this thing's a hodgepodge of Amazon cheap shocks, RC four-wheel drive shocks, just a little bit of everything. Now I'm running on it, so whatever was cheap, because I was just using this as a test mule, different stuff, leaf spring setup. But like I said, we've got to add a RC four-wheel drive anti-wrap bar to it. Get it to focus. I got to add that to it because I like the anti-wraps. So we're going to drop our mounts out here, and it's 2.5 mil. Got a lock nut, pull your pin, simple, put your pin back in your mount, put your lock nut on. Lock nut. Just like that. This is the easiest way to take the front and rears out of this truck that I've found for me. I would like to do a 1080 in this truck, a better ESC, because I'm just running a stock ESC in it from Rc4wd Drive, and it's getting pretty worn. Then we got the front ones. So I like these trucks are so easy to work on when they go back in. That way you don't have a bunch of screws laying around in your way and getting confused of what goes where if you're new to working on something. Alright. Rear end's about ready to come out. We'll just pull it. There it is, guys. Rear end's out. I think the Leafs are easier to work on than the Link trucks myself. Alright, so there we go. That's it. Leave the shocks dangle. Set it up like that. So, there we got our rusty, crusty parts. So, I'm going to go ahead and screw these in a little further. I'm not pulling the leaf springs off. We are going to be pulling, we need to take the wheel nuts off. Okay. And then we need to take our hexes off. 1.5 mil. Pull your pins out. Set them off to the side. I usually use this tray, but for some reason it's full of different parts from different projects that I need to go through and figure out what's what, because I'm always working on so much. Sometimes you'll get one of these that sticks. You usually get it loose with just something just to kind of work it. Loosen that pin up a little bit more. Let me see if it really frustrates you. Sometimes you can get these up in there and just work it. That one don't want to come off either. Find a flat screwdriver and just easily, let me see if we can pop it that way, because you don't want to chew up, bend nothing, bend an axle, or it's just needs gone through and it's a little rusty. So yeah, this is the side that always sticks. It's coming off now. So then so we're not messing with anything. There we go. So there's that one. She was a little rusty. I'll have to clean all this stuff up. So there we go. And then we're going to go ahead and pull our I call it the hog's head or whatever. It's the portion here of your rear end, your center section. 1.5 millimeter screws. You always want to put Loctite back on these guys. This is literally all there is for the Yota 2s. The Yota 1s are a split housing. They're a little different. I don't know how much I got that in the camera. Very good. Well, what I'm going to do is just leave it together here. I'm not pulling the axles and stuff out of it. Like I did the front, we're just going to be pulling this off, and I'll take it up and scrub it just with a scrub brush and your Dawn dishwashing liquid, and I'll take Q-tips and dig the nasty grease out of the housing, and then put, you know, marine grease, fresh marine grease in with you know, fresh Loctite, and there actually isn't hardly any grease even in this one, so not even really going to take much cleaning for that. So there you go, guys, and there's your bearings. You can see there's what the inside of it looks like. Now the rear, it looks like it has some kind of maybe shim piece that goes in. The front wasn't set up like this, so that's odd. Hold on one second here. I'll be right back to the camera. Okay. Yeah, see what I was explaining about the Yota 1s and the Yota 2s. The Yota 1s are split the whole way, so they just come apart. This has the actual, you take these 4 screws out, and then your pumpkin cover comes off. So I do like the Yota 2s, how they're built a little bit better, because you don't have to take it apart or anything if you're just doing your greasing here and maintenance in your gears. It looks like all my gears, nothing feels sharp or looks chewed on. They'll be needing some replacement probably by the end of summer. I'll have to rebuild the front and rear discs on this truck, but there's tons of abuse on it. So gonna be taking this apart. So to take this apart, you just need your end here, 1.5 mil. Let's go ahead and take it all the way apart here. So these are your, separate those off to the side. Take them out of, we'll just go ahead and take it all down and clean everything really good and put it back in all greased. And so you got 4 of those, and then you'll have the 4 here holding your pumpkin cover. Same thing, 1.5s. Your pumpkin cover will come off. Hopefully that one's not stripped. It wasn't tight. Could just be that it didn't have any Loctite on it. That one was. That one was loose too a little bit. So let's see. There's 2, 3, 4. And I usually take these to keep them separated, and I'll just lay them inside my pumpkin cover, diff cover. There you go, and you set them off to the side, and you can see the rear end fell in 2 pieces already. So that's what you got. Okay? And that's it. And you know which side goes into which side because these are recessed for the pumpkin. So we're just going to take that piece and we're going to lay it over here. And we'll just pull this all out in one whack. There's your center, or your rear diff. We're going to be replacing this bearing, this bearing, this bearing, and this bearing with the Jim's bearings, shielded bearings, and then greasing everything up. But I've got to clean everything. And you can see how much water I've run this truck in water forever, and I've not been into the rear. And the guy I got it off of ran it in water a lot. So you can see it's not even rusted up inside with just hardly any grease in it at all. So, salt water obviously would chew everything to nothing. But, yeah, that's it, guys. That's all there is to the Toyota rears. I got to get ready for work. I decided to do a little video here. Reassembly is just reverse, so it's no big deal. But I gotta wait and clean all this stuff up, and then take it back out and get it dirty again. So, from the RC Dungeon, peace.